The people have spoken. G'day, it's Woody here and I'm doing another gun review. First of all, thank you so much to everyone that watched my first ever gun review on the Bushpig XT. If you missed that video, make sure to check it out. I'll put the link in the comments. Thank you for everyone that took the time to write some feedback and give me some tips. I really appreciate it, and I'll try and incorporate as much of it as possible into this video. First things first, this rifle is clear and safe. Hopefully that keeps the metaverse happy. I am a media creator in the firearms industry here in Australia, so full disclosure, while I may not have had to pay my own money for a lot of this stuff, I do want to say that the opinions I express in these videos on my channel are my own views and opinions, and not necessarily the views or opinions of those companies that I'm talking about. Being a media creator, I get to play with a lot of cool stuff, and lately I've been working with the Wedgetail MPR308. I've had this gun for a while now and I've put hundreds of rounds through it. I use it for a lot of the media that I'm creating for ZeroTech and Magul, and I like to shoot it in general. This is a great all-purpose gun. I like to shoot targets with it and I like to shoot feral pests with it. Being a modular design, it is made to be modified or set up for very specific use cases and to suit anyone's shooting needs and requirements. I've done quite a lot of customizing and add-ons to this to set it up exactly how I need it for the work that I do. I'm going to review the gun and talk about the action and how it works, and I'm also going to talk about how I've set it up and why it suits what I do. Wedgetail have been making rifles for quite some time now, and they're an Australian company. And awesomely, this rifle that I'm holding now is made in Australia, in Victoria, where they're based. It's a modular rifle that would be quite recognisable to most, and being so, it's compatible with a lot of industry standard accessories, which is one of the reasons why it works so great for me. The MPR308 is a pump action rifle chambered in 308. It is a Category B firearm in most states, so it's available to most Australians on your standard firearms licence. Unfortunately not available in New South Wales, ACT or Tasmania due to their appearance laws. The first thing that you're going to notice when you pick one of these up is the quality. The attention to detail, the machining quality. Having a machinist background myself, I really appreciate some good machining. Every edge is beveled, it is finished so nicely. The other thing that you're going to notice pretty much immediately is its appearance, and that is unfortunately the reason that it's not allowed in New South Wales, ACT and Tasmania. It is modelled after their semi-auto rifles. I personally don't believe appearance should have any factor when categorising a gun. I think guns look like guns and that should be okay. However, this is a pump action rifle, so in pretty much all other states you can purchase this with a Category B firearms license. I'm going to take you through the action and show you how it works. It's really simple. So with a loaded magazine, although this rifle is clear right now, when you slide the pump back, the bolt comes back. When there is a loaded magazine, the next round is picked up by the bolt, forward in the action, and then you're ready to fire. There is a mechanical safety switch, which is just like an AR safety switch. And if I show you now, I can easily select that with my thumb, select to fire because I'm right-handed, and squeeze off. The trigger is a mil-spec trigger. So for those of you who are probably going from PRS rifles with a trigger weight of a half a pound or something like that, you're going to need to work on your finger strength, but that is completely manageable in my opinion and exactly what it should be for this style of rifle. The bolt is spring assisted. It does have the spring in the buffer tube like most AR designs would. If I lock the bolt back with the bolt lock, which is on this side, when I load a magazine you can see I can drop the bolt like that. You don't need to be gentle with this thing. These guns are made to work. They're built with pest control in mind and other professional shooting applications. So you can slam that thing back and forth very deliberately. You do not need to be gentle with it. When you're shooting, if you're onto a mob of feral pests and that of the like, you might not be so onto counting your rounds, and if you're a Category B license holder like I am, we are limited to 10 round mags. When you're pumping away, if you do pump onto an empty mag, the bolt will lock back. Then you can change mags, put a fresh one in there, drop the bolt catch, and get firing almost immediately. When this rifle first came to me, it had the shorter handguard, which finished just in front of the pump slide. When Wedgetail announced that they were bringing out the long handguard, I reached out to them and asked if I could pretty please have one. I just wanted that extra little bit of versatility from that extra few inches of rail to mount accessories like this stop for one that I've got on there now. You could have a bipod and that wouldn't interfere with your pump slide at all. There's a slightly different finish as the gun that I received was hard anodized and this handguard is Cerakoted. Another one of the little modifications that I've done to this gun is the blast deflector. When Wedgetail first announced that they were bringing out this blast deflector for the MPR308 and how it would perform in diverting the blast, reducing the noise and the percussion felt by the shooter, I was very interested, especially with the amount of rounds that I put down range. What was involved in that was changing the muzzle device over to a threaded muzzle device. It came with a collar to protect the thread, a thread protection collar, and with that I can slide this on there. It has milled spanner flats so you can tighten that down properly. Being a fully modular design, maintenance is easy. Let's just change camera angles and I'll show you how it comes down, how I clean it and how I put it back together. Alright, so I'm going to show you how we separate the upper and the lower. So on this side is where you want to push the pins through. There is a forward pin and a rear pin. It's only really necessary to push the rear pin out to access the inner workings. So with that open, I can now separate the upper and the lower. To remove the bolt carrier group, if I slide the bolt back, and that will stay back on its own because it's obviously no longer under the pressure of the buffer tube, I can use a little screwdriver like this to turn a little bolt 90 degrees, and that brings the bolt group out. So from here, I can use the traditional cleaning rod. I have that straight line through the whole barrel all the way out. If I was in the field and I needed to clear some fouling or something that, or dirt or something that gotten in, I could use a bore snake without having to pull the whole bolt group out. But I'm not a huge fan of bore snakes, so even in the field I might just quickly separate like this. If I was doing more prolonged work or if I wanted to put this in a vise or a jig, I could easily pop this pin and separate the lower completely, just like that. And it goes together just as easily. So that one first, then the bolt group back in, turn that bolt back 90 degrees where it should be. That's connected to the bolt group to the pump. Close that and then check function. Perfect. While I've got you here, I'll just talk about ammo really quickly. I've tried a few different ammos through this gun and they've all done fine, but by far my favorite is the Fiocchi EPN 150 grains. These have an expansive polymer nose, which is what EPN means. So as that hits a target, that polymer nose is just going to disintegrate, and then you're going to have a bullet, a projectile that expands on impact. Really good stopping power. This is going to put down your bigger game, like big boars if you're in North Queensland, Northern Territory, or where I am, it's mostly deer, red deer here in Queensland. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of this. It works every time, which is exactly what I'm looking for in a bullet. All right, well, let's move on to the aftermarket. So I do a lot of media with TSA Outdoors, and they are the Magul distributor. I've been in a fortunate position to test out gear and come up with solutions that work really well for me, and I'll take you through what I've done and why it's good. I like tan, so you can see with the Magul accessories that I've put on, I've gone with all tan accessories. You don't have to do that. In fact, some of the upgrades I've done that are tan are just for looks. It didn't actually increase the functionality of the rifle at all. It came with a black stock. I've gone with a tan stock just for that tan look, and same with the grip. I went for a tan grip. The only upgrade in capability there was the bottle holder for the palm of the grip. It has a little oil bottle in there. I've gone with flip up M-bus sights. These are for when the Optic is not mounted. You can see with the LPVO on there, it does cover over the rear sight, so it's not usable while the Optic is mounted. But if I have this Optic off for whatever reason, I still have that aiming solution ready to go. At the very front, this is one of my newest additions, is the front stop. It has hard metal teeth at the front, and this is for when I'm resting off barricades or on fence posts and that sort of thing. The teeth are slightly rounded, so I don't have to be directly square on to get a purchase on whatever I'm looking to use as a front rest. It bites in there really well, and I've shot off fence posts and tree stumps, and it's a really great support to have. The other Magpul accessory is the front grip. Out of the box, this came with the vertical grip, which is great for a lot of people, and it is super functional. And I've changed it to the angled foregrip, and I do get a lot of questions about that and why would I change to that foregrip. I've used the vertical grip that it came with. I've used a completely flat grip, and I've settled on the angled grip. With the flat grip, it was quite comfortable to hold, but I didn't feel like I got enough purchase to be able to slide back and forth and keep my grip on it really well. With the vertical grip, I obviously had a great purchase and I was able to hold onto that slide really well. But because of my optics that I've chosen, which I'll get into in a minute, when I go to my offset 45 sight, using a vertical grip would bring my front hand over onto its weak side. Can you see how I'm on the weak side of my arm? And that made me a little bit unstable. Having the angled grip meant I did have great purchase for the slide, but if I go to my my 45-degree red dot sight, I can just roll the whole action over in my hands. I'm super stable. I haven't rolled my hand over or my arm over onto its weak side, and I can still operate the slide really well. That being said, let's move on to optics. So I am running the Vengeance 1:6. For what I use this rifle for, I'm not shooting much past 200 or 300 meters, and I wanted something that I could have a wider field of view and remain very reactive. I usually run this on about 4 or 5 power for engaging those targets at 100 meters, or I might roll all the way over to 6 if I want to see a bit further. That's sitting in a Warne mount, which is called a RAMP30. This mount's special because it's a one-piece mount that has offset angled pick rails, so it comes standard with the ability to mount an offset red dot or something like that. I've mounted the new, I've been testing this, so it's brand new, not even properly out yet, but I've been testing the Halo enclosed reflex optic. This optic is very similar to their Thrive HD reflex red dot, but it's a fully enclosed optic. So if I'm operating in extremely dirty or wet environments, I don't have to worry about water or dirt getting on that emitter at all, and I get a clear projection of that red dot that's super crisp every time I look through it. And I get a lot of questions about why I'd run an offset red dot when I'm running an LPVO. A lot of you say, well, it has the capability to go to 1 power, so why do you need another 1x optic, being the red dot? Well, the reason I have that is I operate in some pretty dynamic environments, and if I am on full magnification, say I'm on 6 power and I'm engaging a target that's 200 meters away, but something runs that's 25 meters away, rather than having to take my hand away from my firing position, roll my optic back over to 1x and engage something at 25 or 50 meters, all I have to do is roll and engage. I don't have to fiddle with any magnifications. I don't have to worry about whether my illumination is on, because this scope is illuminated. Because this is auto on and auto off, I don't have to worry about turning this on or off. When it's in my safe, it turns off on its own. When I'm moving around with it, it turns on. Another thing that I get asked a lot about is the sling, how I have it mounted and why I have it mounted this way. I actually went really basic. This is just a Magpul MS1 sling. At the rear, I've literally just got it threaded through the sling mount on the back of the stock. And on the front, I am using a paraclip mount. So I will unlock it and show you how that works. So that is a power clip, and you squeeze it, which opens up the jaws. And this is a power clip rail mount. I'll try and get you some close-up shots. So I have that mounted just in front of the Optic mount. The reason I went with this is I wanted the ability to move the sling from this position to maybe another further position on the rail. I haven't actually used it like that. I haven't mounted any other rail power clip mounts on there, but I like the way this sits. I like when I have this all the way done up, it sits right here. I don't have to worry about the muzzle hitting the ground. I can even crouch down without the muzzle hitting the ground. But then when I want to bring up, all I have to do is slide that back and I can bring up like that. Having the front mount more towards me or near the Optic means it moves with my arm. So I can go from slung to up without getting my arm tangled in a sling. So if my sling was mounted further forward, I would have to lengthen that sling or try and defeat that sling somehow to get my gun up and get on target. As this gun is a 308 and I do put this in some pretty harsh environments, I do use this as a bit of a testing rig for optics. I do all the media for ZeroTech, so I get to put a lot of different optics on there. So that's another reason why I love the Warne RAMP30, is it holds my preferred optics setup, or my daily use optics setup, if that makes sense. And I can unbolt it and bolt it back on in the same place, and I'm back on zero every time. I haven't had any issues with impact shift. I have done multiple tests to see what would make it shift impact, and it's held together really well. So when I change optics for something new or something that I'm working with for media, and then I know that I can just go back to this setup and it will work straight away. Another thing that you guys have been asking is about the magazines. A lot of you have seen on Instagram and that sort of thing that I'm running these longer magazines. I am a Category B license holder. This is a Category B firearm, so 10 rounds is the maximum in my state. These were originally 20 round magazines that have been permanently limited to 10. So these are 10 round magazines now, which fit the legislation, but with the functionality of the longer magazine. So what do I mean by that? So with the Magwell, when I slide the magazine in there, I find that a standard 10 round magazine is almost entirely swallowed by the magazine well, just because of how short the 10 round PMags are. So when I found out that these were an option, I jumped on it, because being able to grab a solid purchase on the magazine, being able to get that in and out is a lot easier than trying to grab onto just the base that's only just sticking out of the Magwell. Another functional reason why these are great is I usually wear a chest rig when I'm working with this gun, and I store magazines on that chest rig, and I have the same trouble with the pouch. The pouch swallows the entire magazine up, so this way I get enough magazine sticking up that I'm able to get great purchase, get it out, and get it into the gun without any hassle or trying to find the magazine or get a good grip on it. It's just in my hand straight away. I'm really happy with this gun. I use it as a media gun, I use it as a testing rig, I use it for my own pest control purposes. I have literally hundreds of rounds through this gun. I really enjoy shooting it. It's a lot of fun and it works every time, which is what I need most out of a gun. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I will endeavor to reply to everyone. If you have any criticisms or feedback, please drop them in there as well. They are all welcome. If you would like to see more photos of gun stuff, please head over to Instagram. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Last time I posted a gun review, I ended up with a 2-day ban on Facebook. So if you subscribe to YouTube, you don't have to worry about the videos disappearing and not being able to find them. If you've seen another gun on my Instagram that you would like me to do a review of next, please drop it into the comments and I will see what I can do with that. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.